Hey, Heather, you can do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey. Well, I will start with my chairperson's update. No. Topic of the day, solar eclipse. Did everybody get a chance to look at it with your special glasses? It was amazing. It was awesome. I kept running in and out to get the transition of it. Okay. Next item was Peter Pan was fabulous. That was so wonderful. And I'm so glad that they have started these theater productions of the whole school taking place. It was just amazing to see. I really enjoyed it. And the third item on my update is the budget. The Board of Finance has proposed a budget. It's very early for them to come forward and finalize what they're going to put forward for the vote. The town meeting is May 6th. It's a very ambitious budget, and it's going to take each and every person to support it, to get out there, mention it. Any of you who are residents in the town of Thompson, get out there and get your friends out there to vote, because if that is what it's going to take, is to get everybody to vote. We've got to get people out there to vote to get this budget passed, both on the town side. I know it's not a split budget anymore, but it's critical for the town and it's critical for the school. Thank you. That's all I have to say. I will now open the floor to citizens' comments. Limited to 3 minutes, please. So any citizens' comments from the floor over here, from the audience? None? I will turn to the Zoom audience. Any citizens' comments from the Zoom audience? No, hearing none, then we'll go to the student spotlight.
First, we're going to recognize the Turtle Out Student Spotlight for the month of April, Gianna Brinson.
Just speak a little louder, please.
Yeah. Turtle Out Memorial High School Student Spotlight Program recognizes a student who has demonstrated outstanding achievement, character, leadership, attitude, and/or contributions to the school and community. The Student Spotlight for the month of March is Gianna Brinson. Gianna was nominated by classmates Callie Carita, Caitlin Olpeski, June Ferraro, Jenna Lee Stenham, Isabel McGlynn, and Sophia Thurber. Callie wrote, Gianna is the kindest and funniest person I know. I've never been more thankful to have a friend or cousin like her. She never fails to put a smile on anyone's face, along with having amazing advice in any circumstance. I haven't had a class with Gianna since 6th grade, but when I found out I had English with her, I was so happy. She participates in class and helps anyone if they need it. She always has a positive attitude and is beyond respectful and kind. Caitlin says she is the friendliest. June had this to say about Gianna. I've known Gianna for a while now, and let me tell you, she has an incredible talent for brightening people's days. No matter the situation, she always manages to lighten the mood and make everyone burst out laughing. I can't even express how thrilled I am to have met such an amazing person like her and to call her my friend. Gianna's friend Isabel adds, Gianna is truly amazing. We've been good friends for over a decade, and our bond has only grown stronger over the years. Whenever someone is having a tough time in school or feeling down, she's always there with a smile to lift their spirits. There are days when I don't feel like going to school, but just seeing her infectious smile instantly brightens my mood. Gianna has this amazing ability to bring joy to everyone around her, and her smile truly lights up every room. She's just one of those people that everyone loves to be around. Jenna Lee continues saying, Gianna is an absolute sweetheart, and her positive energy is contagious. She has this incredible sense of humor that always brings a smile to my face, and being around her guarantees a good time. Her fun and childlike personality, combined with her genuine care for her friends, makes her truly deserving of this award. She's just an amazing person all around. Finally, Sophia says, Gianna has been an incredible friend since day one. We actually met when her mom was my teacher, and we even took dance classes together. Her positive attitude and willingness to help others has always stood out. Whenever someone is feeling down, Gianna is there to lift them up and offer comfort. She has this ability to brighten everyone's day without fail. She truly is a ray of sunshine in my life and in many others. Miss Steglitz shared, I have had the privilege of watching Gianna grow into the poised young lady she is today. As her friends have stated, she is a ray of sunshine every day. Gianna brings positivity and an upbeat attitude to everything she does. Gianna goes about her day being respectful, responsible, and approachable and kind. Congrats, Gianna, on receiving this recognition. And according to Mr. Jan Z. Dupre, Gianna is polite, dependable, and responsible. All qualities you hope to see in every student. When asked what motivates her, Gianna says, the constant support I get from my family and friends. Knowing that you have people standing behind you makes everything you do 10 times easier. Some of the ways she has contributed to her school and community are, in school I help out my fellow classmates when they need help in classes. I am in the yearbook club, SSA, and FBLA. I've done homelessness awareness, bedtime stories, and Read Across America. Outside of school, I am a role model to my younger girls at my dance studio. I dance in the Holiday Dazzle Light Parade every year. When asked about her plans for the future, Gianna said, my dream plans for the future are to be famous and have my own late night talk show. But realistically, the only plans I have for my future are going to college and traveling the world. A few of Gianna's important accomplishments were at a dance competition, I received the CDLS Spirit Award. It is an award given to one dancer at the Diva Dance competitions. This award is given to a dancer who shows a love for the dance, joy in what they do, and someone who represents the positive spirit that the CDLS Foundation looks for. I also just recently won a dance scholarship at one of the competitions I went to. I also have received 5- and 10-year awards for dancing that amount of years. And next year I will be receiving my 15-year award. In closing, Gianna said, thank you for nominating me. It was very sweet.
All right, here are our events for April. So on April 1st, the quarter four began and our scholarship packets were due to school counseling offices from the seniors. On April 3rd, grades were due for quarter 3. They had a faculty meeting at 2:15 and the school governance council had a meeting at 7 p.m. On April 4th, a very successful CMEA All-State Conference in Hartford occurred with the Modern Music Ensemble performance. On April 8th, report cards were handed out and, well, the Board of Ed meeting is today. On April 10th is the Broadway trip to go see Hadestown. On April 11th, there are spring sports photos. On April 12th, TSLT is 1A and 2A. The Valence-Sal appointment for valedictorian, salutatorian, and then the honor roll assembly will be at 1:30. April 13th through the 21st is vacation. April 24th is the Pride Day. There are department meetings and Integrity Plus that night. On April 27th is the second annual car show from 10 to 2. And on April 29th, there is a welding competition sponsored by EB at Grosso Tech. And Mr. Joyce and a team of 4 students will be attending. And here are some highlights. Members of the TSLT really enjoyed the leadership roundtable. They're very grateful to everyone who took their time to come and help them learn about local government roles, responsibilities, and future opportunities for leadership in the community. Thank you again. Juniors Jackson Santos and Lindsay Sturdivant did a great job giving tours to principal candidates on Tuesday 4/2. CMEAs was awesome. I mean, Modern Music blew it out of the water with their set list. It was phenomenal. I got to see it myself. It was awesome. And then 60 students from grades 7 to 12 have been invited to the TSLT Leadership Matters Conference on May 3rd. The TSLT is excited to hear from 2 keynote speakers, community leader Brian Santos and TNHS graduate and former TSLT president Robert Terrell. And all Team HO sports have just started. The girls are playing right now and the boys just played Parish Hill. I don't know sports. And for student voice, Ms. Granado met with the student council to ask students to remain patient with the new security system that has been implemented to improve in monitoring safety of students when they're outside and inside of the classroom. Thank you.
Kathleen, could I ask a question? Relative to the student voice, at the leadership roundtable, I was talking with some students. And one of the things that had come up was that the student voice, the scope of the topics that are to be conveyed in the student voice are only to be positive, is what they were telling me. And is that the case? Or don't we want them to be able to voice whatever it is that they want to
Yes, of
tell us?
course.
Okay, because I think there's been a shift or a change, or at least the students think that there has.
No, and I met with our two liaisons. There is a protocol though, right? And so if the student voice forms, and this is what's been happening, the student voice forms have come in right before the board reports are due to to my office. And so the building principal was skipped over and never got a chance to talk about the issue at hand that came through the student voice forms. And not only that, but the procedure has always been that if the students aren't satisfied at the building level, then they need to come and speak to me about whatever their issue is. If I can't resolve it, then they do need to bring it before the board. They can certainly talk about whatever the issue is, but the building principal should get the opportunity to address whatever the situation is first. And what was happening is the board, the student voice forms were looked at right before a board report. And so those other two steps were missed. And then the issue came before the board without anybody having any chance to even try to help. So we met with the two liaisons and we talked that through. And so they've pushed back at the building level that they'll bring it to the principal's attention. If they don't get satisfied there, they'll see me. And if they don't like what I have to say, then they need to bring it to the board.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Catherine.
Kathleen,
Clarify
one more
Please.
Justin.
Yeah.
So just on top of the liaison report, 4 months ago, when I sat in this chair for the first time as a board member, what came in front of the board was the bathroom issue and the cell phone issue. I just think it's fair to let you know that I brought that up last month with Ms. Granado, and Ms. Granado is gonna be following up with me on that tonight, or with us on that tonight. So just letting you know that we are following up with issues that are brought to us. I want you to know that we are paying attention to you as well.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Next is the approval of minutes from March 11th, our regular meeting, and March 18th, the special meeting. May I have a motion?
Make the motion, Kathleen.
Okay. Second. Let's get the second. On the regular meeting, Matt is missing. Okay. I don't. Your name is missing.
Oh.
You're not present and you're not absent.
Yep, all right, I was here.
I don't remember you being here, but gotta be somewhere. Any other discussion on the minutes? Linda picked that one up.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Linda. Okay, hearing no discussion, I will put the motion to the floor, with the regular meeting minutes as of, to include Matt's name as being present. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no. Any abstentions? Minutes pass. 8 in favor. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the subcommittee update communications.
So we had a meeting today, and we talked about a lot of different things. Some of it included some old business, such as promoting senior night. We talked about the new banner fundraiser for the athletic fields that we've started this year, which seemed like it was a good showing. We talked about marketing the pathways and the reading academy and kind of the next steps for that. the success of the leadership roundtable and what we might want to think about for next year. And then promoting a college acceptance, May 1st kind of promotion on social media for any students that are pursuing college after school. We also talked about the Did You Know campaign that we're doing and talked about some brainstorming ideas for that. The budget season is among us, and we talked about brainstorming with that, with letter writing and other things such as sign holding. And then the last thing we talked about was the possible new initiatives that we might take on once budget season is behind us, and that's kind of campaigning to state lawmakers about various issues that we're having in our district, including truancy, special education funding, and other non-funded mandates. We did set another meeting for next month, right before the vote, and that is about it.
I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Smith now to do the enrollment report.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Gerber. We're taking a look at Mary Al Fisher. We have lost one student at Mary Al Fisher. We last month we were at 380 students. We are now at 379. There are no changes at the middle school for enrollment, so the number holds at 264. And there are no changes at the high school. The number holds at 211. If you go to the backup that is presented from Danette Sine, you'll see that there was a lot of transient in and out over the month, but the numbers held true. So we have a total population of 855 students.
The data here says 853. Let me back up,
There must,
because there's nothing filled in for the things for April.
this is a March report, so I don't know where to, what page are you talking about?
So if you're on the backup data, the one that says Mary TMS.
Yeah.
It says 853 there. But this does not give April enrollment numbers in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, we don't put April enrollment numbers yet because the
No.
month hasn't finished. But that
Okay.
number doesn't, you are right.
I got, okay,
That
I
number
got you now,
doesn't
sorry.
match though, and I will ask Danette why it doesn't.
So.
Justin's got a
Superintendent Smith, I've got one for you when you're ready.
I'll double check and get that back to you.
Okay. It's concerning.
This is
Yeah, this little area that you showed looks incorrect, so I need to have her update that.
Yes, just I always thought these were as of April 1st, May 1st, June 1st numbers.
Usually it's the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah. We're always a month behind with that.
Okay.
Just going over the input, output data from especially the elementary school, it seems like there were two that came from homeschool.
Right.
I know we had discussed it in previous months with other grade levels coming from homeschool. Are we seeing the same transition issues that we've seen in the past, or is the transition smooth? Like, how is that?
On those two,
homes-
yeah, on those two particular students, I don't know. I could look at Principal Prentice to see. The same holds true that when the students come in from homeschool, we do a battery of assessments to see the skill level of where the students are at. And then we have a conversation with the family to make sure that the grade level that we anticipate having the student enter is the correct grade level for the skill set that they hold. Larry, I know you have two of those are yours, so without breaching any confidentiality, is there a generality that you could share with?
Yeah, I mean, we also,
Justin.
so we met with the classroom teachers. We met with the parents, we met with the social worker and the guidance counselor, and we put together a plan, we looked at their academic concerns, and it was pretty smooth. I mean, we had no issues. We had a team of 5 people looking at them. Yeah, we met with uncle and mother multiple times before we put this.
Sometimes it's not smooth and sometimes we have a lot of shuffling to do at the building level, especially if they come in at a higher grade level. It becomes more important that we make sure that the credits are, they're given the appropriate credits toward their overall high school program. So it becomes a little trickier when you get up to the high school.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see as much shuffle this late in the school year
Yeah,
and from where things are shuffling from also has me at a level of concern as well.
we have been doing an outreach. We did earlier this year to homeschool families, letting them know that if they were interested in returning to public school, to give us a call. We did take in several homeschool students as a result of that outreach, so.
Good.
I
Thank
have a
you.
quick question. I saw that there's 4 students from Brazil. Are they English speaking from Brazil, or how is this impacting our?
So it is impacting our service delivery with our ELL teacher. We have a student up at the high school who has been transitioning fairly well. We have some ingenious teachers who have embraced technology. Obviously, the ELL teacher isn't in the classroom 100% of the time to support those students. The ones at the elementary are non-English speaking, correct?
Yeah, non-English.
Yes.
100% non.
So I know Heather Bruno was spending a lot of time with those children, but I spoke to Lena Cohn-Noyer just recently. And she found an app that can translate for her and also an app that can take her worksheet and translate it into Portuguese. So our teachers out there are pretty resourceful when it comes to supporting students. I'm so proud of the extra work that they do. And Heather Bruno has been working with some of our teachers after school to give them strategies so that those children are supported in the classroom. But you can see 3 children from another country in what, a matter of a month moved in, and we're seeing more ELL students coming to Thompson, which is great for our diversity and celebration of culture. We just want to make sure we have the right service delivery.
So we do have the 1 person, and are we feeling like that is going to be sufficient for next year with what we currently have, knowing that we have the 4 new students in our mix?
As it stands right this minute, yes. And it really depends on the level that the students come in. Obviously, if they're non-English speaking, they need support every day. If they can speak some English, then there's assessments that are given so that we can figure out what level between 5 and 1 they're at. And then service delivery is figured out that way. It is challenging, I'm not gonna lie, for 1 person to do the entire district preschool to grade 12. And that's some scheduling. We're working on it. We're working through it this year. I guess it all depends on enrollment moving forward.
Speaking of enrollment, is it too early to know how many of our 8th graders are planning on going to the high school?
So I do have that information here. In here, I thought that we had about 40 going up to the high school, but I have it specifically in here. We have 10 students that have been accepted to Ellis. We have 4 students that have been accepted at the BOAG and 1 student that's going to Woodstock. We have 66, or at least the last time I looked at enrollment, 66 8th graders, 15 of them leaving us, left 51 that may be going up to the high school, but
What
I
about
know
Marinapolis? We don't have Marinapolis.
yes, we have 2. We have, so I don't have that data. Julie only gave me that. So I'm gonna say it's between 40 and 50 now going
That's
up.
good.
It's, yeah. We don't know if all those students that are accepted to Alice are going to Alice. I think the 4 BOAG are pretty committed. And I know obviously the one to Woodstock Academy is going there, but.
Thank you.
as ELL grows, you had just said, and Heather brought it up, that there are 4 right now. Does that fall under people services as well?
Technically, yes, because it's a special service delivery.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I know Dr. Jones is good. Yeah, I know.
Not special ed. I know a lot of times we talk about special ed being over budget. The department really is people services. So yes, that falls in people services.
Right. We had a discussion a while back where I think people services seems to be the catch-all. So I just want to make sure that we're aware of that.
So anytime we start to think about specialized instruction other than general education, more or less falls under the department that Dr. Jones facilitates and runs, right? So yes, ELL is under that department.
Great. Okay, thank you.
So, thank you, Chairman Herbert. We are very, happy to announce the principal of the new principal of Turtle Rock Memorial High School, Thomas Joseph Mellon. Thomas Mellon is here this evening with his wife Melanie. I don't know, and his nickname is usually TJ.
Yes.
I don't know if TJ has any comments he'd like to make, but I can tell you that we vetted through a long process. We had 25 candidates, applications that came in. The screening team of 12 reviewed all those applications against a criteria that they set of what their vision was of a new high school principal. They selected 4 candidates from that pile of 25 applicants. We interviewed last week those 4 candidates, and 2 finalists came before Dr. Jones and myself for a second interview. And ultimately, we selected Thomas Mellon to be the new principal at Turtle Rock Memorial High School. So congratulations and welcome to Thompson.
Thank you. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity, and I will absolutely do my very best to make this school the best it can be. And I'll work tirelessly to do that, and with support of the community, the students, the teachers. I look forward to great things. So thank you. Much appreciated.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I have ideas for ELL too.
Teacher non-renewals.
So this year, I'm recommending 2 non-renewals, not non-renewals, they should be layoffs. That should say layoffs, so we need to make a correction there. So I am recommending 2 teacher layoffs for the 2 least senior teachers up at Mary R. Fisher Elementary School. We have 3 retirements this year. And then those 2 layoffs will provide me with some wiggle room in case we have to make any adjustments in the budget. I have no recommendation to reduce any of those positions. They're all vital. But when we get down to whatever that bottom number is that the town is allocating for the BOE budget, there needs to be a little flexibility in our staffing. So I did give those letters to 2 individuals at Mary R. Fisher, the least senior. And that's primarily because of seniority and certifications. Some folks might be able to be shifted to other positions. So we're hoping that we don't have to do that, and they will be recalled at your June meeting. I did speak to I know Principal Prentice spoke to both of those teachers. And hopefully we're going to get through the budget process and we won't have to reduce the staff at all. If we do, it's going to cause quite a disruption with student schedules, especially at the middle school, and maybe beyond. So, but for years now, for the last few years under COVID, we've not laid off any of our teachers at this time of the year. Typically, we used to lay off all the non-tenured teachers. We got away from that practice during COVID and beyond, but this year, I feel like at least putting those 2 on layoff until we know what's happening with the budget, and then we'll recall them right back, and they're aware of that. and it's typical practice.
We-
Yes,
When you say it's typical practice, do other districts do this?
where
All right.
many districts lay off all of the
Right, I
non-tenured
know we
teachers.
used to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
We felt, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, the board felt that, it's a lot of undue stress. Everybody gets a pink slip that's non-tenured and then they worry for a few months until they get called back. We would try to minimize that,
Yep.
but I also am very worried about where the board is going to be able to go if we have a significant reduction to the ask that you've made to the town, so.
I just struggle with this when we talk about retention. And when we talk about an environment, a healthy environment for our staff to be retained. I personally don't care if it's practice in other districts. I think,
No, it's required. We
I
have to-
think we need to be conscientious of the environment that we're in and the work environment that we're in, and understand that although they might have the least tenure and although they might have the least certifications, they could potentially be an asset to us, and putting them on notice, and I understand why, but putting them on notice doesn't give anybody an easy feeling. And I know it's not easy, but just want it on the record.
I agree with you, Justin. And so we tried to do the best we can, knowing that we had those 3 retirements and we're only recommending those 2, and hopefully everything will go well and they'll be recalled in June.
Thank you.
And then finally, we have been working with Steve Benoit and Greg Gia. And we have been talking about using the school facility as an emergency shelter and operations at the high school. I've invited Steve Benoit to come here tonight to kind of go over that plan. And there's also a copy of the plan in your packet. So Steve?
Okay, the plan in your packet can be changed at any time. The fluid docs, like I know I just spoke with Bill, he said probably here would be the best place for a shelter instead of the high school.
Okay,
Close to feeding. So that can be changed. We want a shelter that's central to the town. Right now, we've been using Quinnebog for 20-something years. And fire departments have enough difficulty getting volunteers on a regular basis. And it's a burden to put that on them to also help run the shelter. We have a new graduating class for CERT members in Northeast that we're gonna train to do shelter operations, so that won't fall on the school or anything. You have security up here. If you need extra, we have the constables we can use. And I just think it's, it won't be a Red Cross shelter because Red Cross no longer supports local shelters, they only do regional shelters. And our regional shelter is in Pomfret or Plainfield. And during the storm, I don't really feel safe sending, Mrs. Smith, that's 90 years old, out to Plainfield driving it during the storm. That's the best way to lose residents, is just send them somewhere they don't know how to get to. So I think that's why this would be beneficial to the town and the school to have a shelter up here. We haven't used a shelter in years. Last time we used one was probably 10, 15 years ago. We got 3 people in the shelter. In Quinnebog, that was it. Up here in the Northeast, we believe we can take care of ourselves, and we can. And I try to instill in the residents that best option is the shelter in place. But with power outages and everything, and cold weather, we would get into the shelter. So I think this would be the, best place for a shelter, central to the whole town. And it's probably safest place, especially during flooding or anything. You're up on a hill. snowstorms, we can get people here. But like I said, it's rare that we use a shelter, but I just want one in place.
And I am sure that we're not gonna be in session if we have that kind of an
You know, if you
emergency.
have that kind of emergency, the school's probably gonna be closed anyway.
Right.
Every time we've opened a shelter, the school and everything is closed.
So we're working collaboratively with Steve and his team. And it's kind of a give and take, because there's some resources that we can tap into. God forbid that we ever had to reunify or go somewhere else. So Steve has been offering some of his resources to us. And he did approach us about using this facility as an emergency shelter. It makes a whole lot of sense to me, but it's not my decision, it's a board decision.
And like you said, with assets, we have many assets in the area now that we can use. We have a blow up medical tent. We need a tent out there with heat and air conditioning. We have signboards we can use, you know, shelter this way, or do not enter. We have, communication trailer we can use. For setting up the operations out there. We have traffic trailer with all the cones and everything we need to keep people out of certain areas. So there's a lot of assets we can use.
I just have a question for, so when the power is lost over there, like it was the other day, is if it was the gymnasium that we would use, does that have power?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Bill?
that was gonna be
Yeah.
my question. We have the capacity now with the generators, Bill?
Yes, and that's why I spoke with Steve earlier about that. The capacity with emergency power is actually stronger in this part of the school than it is at the high school.
Yeah,
And it's closer proximity to the main kitchen.
when we lose power, downstairs in the cafeteria at the high school, it's dark. Yeah, and Bill every year puts in his budget, to improve the generator system on the campus, and inevitably every year we take that out, but that was always his goal, was that we would get the whole campus, enlightened during, any kind of power outage, but, yeah, that's a good idea to move it up here. It makes more sense. The kitchen's right here.
And if I see any grants for generators, I'll let Bill know,
Oh, good.
because sometimes grants come out from Homeland Security. Get generators up here.
That'd be
We
great.
sent a lot of grants up this way. Safety of the school.
And I know, Steve has also been talking with Lisa Durand, and around, food and, what she could do to help, make sure that there's, food on hand in case of an emergency.
The plan before was, if we did open a shelter, Lisa was gonna help. I would have to get her and food down to Quinton. Yeah. And that would be a tough, didn't sell, but we do it, we had to.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, but you and I had a conversation about this like 5 years or more ago. Having the school be the emergency shelter rather than Winnebago. It made more, it's in the center of town. It's a larger capacity, sits on a hill rather than a hole.
Yeah.
It was always supposed to be at the school. When we did the building project and got the generator, that was part of the whole thing. And it was always this gymnasium and that. We never saw a real plan. And I always wondered what happened, but that was part of this whole thing when we got the generator. Because we got it for nothing, right? Didn't,
We got the generator through a grant from, was CLMP at the time,
yeah,
on a demand response program. But we got the generator, but if you recall, Bill, we didn't have the money to develop the infrastructure, so we had a giant generator.
right.
But it only had small sections of the building that were covered.
Yeah.
And over the last 15 or so years, we've been adding a little bit here and a little bit there. Until we've gotten to the point that the entire middle school is now powered.
Okay.
Well, that was always the original plan, is to make this the center, for the emergency center for the school.
And there were also plumbing issues in the middle school gym at that time.
Yeah,
That have since been resolved.
right.
There was a lot of issues up here at the time,
Well, it makes sense
Wasn't
to me.
feasible.
Yeah, absolutely.
but now I think it's very feasible. You know, if any of you guys ever have any questions about anything with emergency management, feel free to give me a call.
No, it should be up here. I agree.
Mhm.
It's, and I always thought it should be here. We got the generator and.
Town building.
Right.
So do we need to do anything now
Just
as a
allow-
board or,
We need to make a
I would
motion.
approve this plan if I were you.
pardon me?
I would approve this plan.
Okay,
Make
so I need a
motion-
motion.
Make a
Second.
motion to approve the emergency shelter and operations at the middle school,
I'll take that in,
Yeah.
amending it to the middle school.
Wherever they think, wherever the emergency thinks it's appropriate.
They said middle school.
Well, they could change it next. if
Yeah,
it's
like I said, it's a very.
Wherever
And
appropriate.
it's all a
On
very
the
big
top-
school, just.
On the Thompson Public Schools campus.
There we go.
Okay,
So what I could put down there instead of middle school or high school, Thompson Memorial School, and this way we help it.
We're appropriate.
On the TPS, motion is to accept the emergency management plan on the TMS campus as amended and as written.
Second.
and Matt has the second. I think we had a lot of discussion on this already, but if anybody wants to add any more discussion. If not, I'll put the motion to the floor for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? It passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve.
Thank you. Bill and Steve for working on this.
Oh, and for all his weather updates, the ones you've been sending recently have been really detailed, so thank you.
When I get them in, I usually send the, one list of other people.
Great, thank you. Second to find my
And it gives you kind of
administrator.
enough heads up, so maybe
Like
have
very
to say. Then it always accurate.
Go.
But it's helpful. I share it with the other superintendents who don't get such a detail.
Go and turn around.
Thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you. Thank you
Congratulations.
for coming. Okay,
All right, see
See you
you.
later.
Yeah, see you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now the back row became the front row.
great, we'll move on to administrative reports. And we'll start with Ms. Granado and for the high school and the middle school.
All right, we'll begin with the middle school. So first of all, shout out to Mrs. Morrison and Mrs. Perkins for the special event they did with the solar eclipse today. Lots of treats that are over there. But the kids had an amazing time. So we're so grateful to them for planning that. That was in the works for about a month. It was a big deal. Thank you to Superintendent Smith for providing special glasses that everybody received during dismissal. I even had a little that's an extra, so I didn't. Somebody put one in my desk, so I used it. It was great to watch. I also want to take this time to shout out to Mrs. Flatcheck. On Friday was Assistant Principal Day nationwide, so just a special shout out to her because she's so wonderful with all the kids. Works really hard. Has been really a team player, working helping out on both campuses. So shout out to her. Just a outstanding person to work with. I couldn't ask for anything more than assistant principal. She goes above and beyond. So we're very fortunate to have her. So let's go on to the high school. So, well, high school, middle school joint effort because our wonderful high school concert band came down and performed in front of our whole school. They got to do their rehearsal in front of our middle schoolers, and our middle schoolers were thrilled. And such positive feedback from the kids. I think especially the teachers got to really see how grown up the kids were,
the teachers that have had them. So big shout out to the kids who played at the CMEA awards. That was, they performed. So that was, and I have to say the high school students did such a nice job of projecting what's happening and what's going to happen. That I can get right to the questions that you asked me last month. So we had a very positive month in March, I must say. So we only had 2 suspensions. And you had asked me if the parents were receptive. They were very receptive. They came in. One of the suspensions, we actually did a student contract with. We had some restorative practices. One of the students, one of the deals was they had to go to the JRB, so they will be going to meet with the board there. We've had 3 detentions. Thank you to Dr. Jones and Mrs. Boyd for helping out with that. Detentions were due to just phones being out. And the other one was just, acting out in class. Vape detector only went off. Ready for this? That was huge. And as far as the bathroom, I do want to clarify because I hope that what you were talking about, I did say to the kids, I said exactly what the students said. We're working the process out. It was, I think we started in February, if I'm not mistaken. And at first we had very limited student access, which meant that the teachers had to release them to go to because we were feeling out the system. Once we had some good feedback, had a faculty meeting, we're like, okay, we're gonna give student access. So which means that the students do not need to have the teacher release. It's purely through the system. So we can see the exchanges. What's really eye-opening is the data that comes from that to see how many are frequently using time to go to the bathroom and how it can add up to hours at the end of the month. So shout out to Mrs. Boyd and support team because we've been reaching out to families, just kind of saying, hey, just to let you know, your child in the month of, has been out for 4 hours. So, so chipping away at that, but it's been very positive. Did meet with the student leadership team just recently last week, and they thought things were going better. So did you, I'm just wondering
Yeah,
what you.
there was no specific thing that they mentioned to me. What was mentioned was, we had said that, oh, we haven't seen a student voice in a while.
Yeah.
Are there none, or are you?
Well,
like,
everything's
and they're like,
going
oh,
so
no.
positive, I
Yeah,
have to tell you.
they go, oh, well, we will have one next month, and I said, oh, great, and
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
everything okay? And
Yeah.
she goes, we've been told not to
Yeah.
talk about anything that isn't positive, and I was like, okay, that's not what
That's
the student voice
right,
is supposed to
right.
be.
But I think,
So that's why we wanted to kind of
yeah.
flush it out now,
And,
so there wasn't
plus
anything in
superintendent's been-
particular. it
Yeah,
just
no,
was a
because
general.
sometimes I would like to think that they're telling me the truth, and I did respond to them.
Yeah.
All right, now, we have to wait until we work the kinks out. So
Yeah,
just,
I mean, the
stay
process
positive.
makes total sense, but yeah.
all right, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
so-
I mean, I'm reporting this down and I'm like, geez, okay, go ahead.
So thank you, first off.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that some communication and collaboration seems to be really starting to help improve things at the high school. I think last month you said, and it was quoted in the minutes as, I run a tight ship. Apparently the ship is righting itself. So
It's good.
good job on that.
I have a great support team too, and I think I have to say that the students at the high school are amazing, and your son was one to give a tour, and they were so positive, and everyone has been so positive. There's so much good that goes on at this high school. I can't reiterate that and say that enough. And I'm so honored to be up there to actually see what's going on. We have great kids.
They used to be yours.
I know. Good to see. I want to see what.
Okay. Mr. Prentice.
Thank you to Juliana George, the elementary school music teacher, for organizing. She had an Azul quartet come to visit the second, third, and fourth graders on March 26th. String instruments. She's very interested, as is the middle school music teacher, the high school music teacher, and Mrs. Smith. Really pushing for strings, starting at the elementary school. So I think that's gonna be a big thing. I know I sound like a broken record, the folks that worked so hard for Peter Pan, elementary, middle, and high school, so much coordination, so much effort, so much time, so much fun. It really was. It was an awesome, awesome play. So great job. The Thompson Education Association for the Teachers Union for providing bedtime stories to students last week. That was a really, really neat thing for families to come to the elementary school. So we thank them for that. Cereal box challenge, do so many neat things. That was a lot of fun. So thank you as well. Tomorrow is picture day. So if you have a child in the elementary school, get ready for that. We have a spring concert coming up May 16th. And congratulations once again to Emma Moriarty. I'd be remiss if I didn't say Emma Moriarty, Christian Burns, and really all the Thompson students that were awarded the superintendent's award. I gotta tell you, that's just such a highlight for us to be able to attend a ceremony like that at Killeen High School. So many great families in this community, so many great kids, so pleased to be able to put them. And then finally, National Para Educator Day last week. I know you wanted to mention that. I'll take it. But all the hard work, and we have a number of them at the elementary school, middle school, high school, and they work so hard, and sometimes they go unnoticed, but they do a great job. So thank you to them. That's it for the elementary school.
Thank you. Dr. Jones.
Yes.
Okay, our total percent for special education actually came down a little bit. We're at 23.21%. Last month, we were at 23.51%. Total IEPs, 180 with 18 referrals currently in process. That brings us to a total number of 198, 76 504s. Our out of district is up 1 for a total of 22. Bradley School, Wyndham County is at a total of 23. 8 of our 22 are currently in that program. We're neighboring currently with Killenly, Sterling, Woodstock, Stafford, and Plainfield. We're still working with 5 vehicles on the road for out of district. We've maintained that all year. We are partnering with 7 other out-of-district schools for the students that are not in the Bradley program. Our referrals, I mentioned this before, so last year we had 36. As of today, we're at 67. Of the 67, 31 had qualified for special education service. 18 did not, and as I said earlier, 18 are in the process. Excess cost, just want to put this piece out there. We've received 1 check so far. That was in a total of 112,000. Our second check is 34,000. So that would be a total of 146,758. That's a capped number due to the 71% reimbursement that we get from the state. If it was an uncapped number, if we received 100% of that, we would be at 205,497. Just wanted you to have that information. And at last check, we had one open para position at the middle school, which we are filling with an RBT currently.
Thank you. I'm gonna call on Mr. Stegler, but before I do, I was at the last Board of Finance meeting when the auditors gave their review. And I do want to say that due to Mr. Stegler's diligence, the auditors for the prior year had several material deficiencies in their management letter. This year, there are no material deficiencies, and all of last year's material deficiencies in their management letter have been cleared up. So this is quite an accomplishment.
Not a book,
Thank you,
Billy.
Bill. So, at least accounting wise, we're headed in the right direction.
Thank you. So for this month, year-to-date spending at the moment, revised budget is unchanged. That's, I'm sure you all know. Year-to-date spending at 14.6 million, just under 71% of budget, which is just goes below where we were at this time last year. Year-to-date encumbrances of 27.6%. Once again, a bit lower than last year. Both of those trends point to favorable news for this year, keeping our fingers crossed. Total projected spending of 20.3 million is 98.4% of the budget. Last year, at this point, we were at 99.3% of the budget. Keep in mind, all those numbers are after the first special ed excess cost payment of the 112, the same 112 that Dr. Jones just mentioned. Pupil Services currently has a projected deficit of $328,000 due to the following, and it's really the same components that we talked about last month. The swing in paraprofessional expenses is projected to be $208,000. As a reminder, the paraprofessional budget was reduced as part of last year's budget cuts. However, student IEPs required retaining those paras and also hiring, I believe it was 3 additional paraprofessionals, correct? Earlier in the year, outplacements were running under budget, which helped offset some of these overages. Outplacements are now projected to be $120,000 over budget. Note, this overage will be partially offset by the second special ed excess cost payment of $34,000 that Dr. Jones had mentioned earlier. Just another reminder, pupil services has also been negatively impacted by expulsions and higher level of critical threat assessments that have been carried out throughout the year. On the audit front, to repeat a little bit of what Chairman Herbert said, the audit financials have been finalized by King & King, which always is great news in my world. All audits were issued with clean opinions. There was one management letter comment that I'm still a little salty about, but it was relatively minor, and it had to do with organization of supporting documentation. All supporting documentation was available. I guess they just wanted it a little bit faster. Thank you to the finance staff, both at the town and at the school, to help pull off this. It's just a monumental process. It seems like it goes almost all year long, but at least it's behind us for this year. And also a thank you to Lisa and the cafeteria staff. I don't know if all of you know, but their grants were selected for testing as part of the grant auditing this year, along with our wonderful sidewalk project. Those were the two biggies. Through their diligent work, we were able to get through all of that testing with no findings. So 100% clean from the cafeteria, which was great to see. Budget update, just in case, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but just in case somebody online hasn't been riding shotgun on this process. The budget has gone to referendum. The proposed FY 2025 mill rate is 28.11 mils. That's an increase of 2.11 mil from last year. The Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance reductions from the original proposed budgets really focused on capital and transfer items. However, they did include a $48,000 cut to the BOE budget, which really tended, based on the discussion, tended to focus in on the fact that when we budgeted for benefits, we were budgeting at a 5% increase from year to year. Michelle and I got some good news that actually came in at 3%. If you actually might recall, that when we started our budget back in November, they were talking about 8%. So it actually ended up 7.2, which was great news. So you could say we had a little bit of room there, and essentially they took about half of it back. But not that they can, obviously, it's up to the board where those cuts actually happen, but I think that was the thinking behind that cut.
And actually, the Board of Finance, did take into account our comments about, hey, you don't look through our budget, you just slash and burn. They didn't burn yet, but they may have no,
Right.
no option, but they did go through our budget line by line. Plus the fact that 3 members of the Board of Finance showed up for our workshops. And they did go as a whole, go through took a meeting and a half and went through our budget line by line by line and asked questions, studied it, made this minor cut that, could have been made anyway, because they did for the town, they took out the town. So, I gotta give them credit this year. They really did a job. It's a scary budget this year. It's going to be a hard one to push. Yes, ma'am.
So none of them are online, I noticed, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was great that they participated
Right.
and great that they did it. They went through it as opposed to in the past.
Right.
But that small amount that came out, it had a reason. It wasn't
Right.
just,
Right.
hey, let's just take out $500,000.
Right.
So is it great that they knocked it out? No, but there's a reason, and it seems like it's manageable within what you've got going on. So it's.
One of the things they did was
passed.
push off the lockers for another, but they held back half of the dollars for the locker that's in the transfer account.
Right.
So they're saving for it and they'll have the other half next year. They didn't just knock it out.
Yep.
It's, so,
Baby steps.
okay. Thank you, Bill.
Kathleen. Kathleen,
Okay,
Kathleen.
yes, Justin.
I've got 3 questions. First one is the students, IEP required hiring of additional paraprofessionals. Do we know the number? Paraprofessionals that were hired? 3, thank you.
And 5, I think, that were retained from last year. So the total swing is 8. If you're going budget to budget.
Thank you. Outplacements, that, for my ignorance, please enlighten me as to the definition of outplacements.
Not here on the site. Had to send them to another school.
So does that include the bulleted last line that expulsions and higher level of threat? That includes those as well, or?
One student, so the one that increased that number.
Yep.
Was due to that.
Okay, so outplacements do include any that are
Yes.
part of that number. Okay, I wanted to be clear on my own that when we expel a student, or when a student is suspended, or when a student has to be placed in some type of behavioral modification program, that it does not just, that student just doesn't fall off the face of the planet from a management perspective, from our people services department, or from a financial perspective. That student is still being supported both financially and managementally. That's probably not a word, from our staff. Okay. Cool, thank you. Well,
Was that 3? I thought I only counted 2.
that was like 2.5, it's fine.
All right, now I'm gonna go alphabetically by department. So Deb, you're up next.
Spring season is going as best it can with the weather we have. We, the middle school games today, high school games, that's why Greg's not here yet, a doubleheader tonight. And Killingly. And well, we've got teams on the field and they're enjoying play, that's all I can say. Okay. Who won again?
Middle school boys.
Yeah, the boys. Yeah. They mercy. That was the last week. I don't know what happened tonight. I left before the game. Take the win when we can.
That's it?
Where we stand.
Okay. All right, then Bill Birch, Facilities Manager.
So we've started the process to install the new walk-in cooler for the kitchen. The grant funding was verified. We have already started to move the dry food storage. I believe we moved Lisa to her new office space today. And hopefully we'll move Chris Murphy to her new office space by the end of the week. The goal being that we've ordered the cooler, and by the time the equipment is ready to be delivered, we are gonna have a clean space for them to erect it. Over April break, we're gonna start working on the welding shop. We have ordered the first batch of equipment for that. We've ordered all of the booths and all of the fuel extraction equipment. They promised me that it should be delivered sometime next week, and hopefully we will have that all erected over the April break. So that part of it will be ready. We'll basically be waiting to get the actual welders and the materials to run the program. But we have not heard anything back on the HVAC grid. But neither has anyone else.
Okay.
So we are not out there by ourselves. The state said that they would let people know in March. They didn't say which March. Taking that for what it is, but nothing has been released yet. Nobody has heard anything. And since we just had a discussion about the lockers, the good news is that they deferred this project till next year, because the bad news is that my one vendor that did this work has had some health issues, and he has pretty much folded the business. So at one time, and I won't even say how long ago it was, but there were quite a few vendors that did this type of work. This particular gentleman I've done work with for over 30 years now. I found one vendor in the Boston area that still does it. I've reached out to them to see if they could give me a quote. There was another vendor outside of Hartford. I've reached out to them, and I don't know if that conversation went, I don't know if it went anywhere. I don't know if there's any answer at the end of that email. So they may also be out of business, and if I can't find a vendor to do this, then I can't really say what the next option might be.
New lockers.
Well, I'm afraid that might be the next option.
Yeah. Yes, Heather.
Did you ask Brian? Cause he does schools.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen Brian.
Yeah, so
I-
email
last
him
week.
though, cause he has all kinds of contacts
Yeah.
for school related anything,
Yeah.
in the Boston area.
This
so-
actually just came up last week.
Yeah.
I reached out to get an updated quote, and he said, "Oh, sorry, I'm not doing that anymore."
Yeah, I'm sure he would have somebody too, so it might be worthwhile, so email him.
And that's all I've done for you.
Miss Gia Marinaro.
You said
I've been practicing.
I'm sorry, I should have kept my maiden name. As Dr. Jones alluded to, we do have one open paraprofessional position right now, but it is being covered through Dr. Jones. I am working with Colleen from Panorama to set up the school meetings. Her and I actually had a conversation today. I have to go over some stuff with Melinda tomorrow. We'll have those meetings as soon as we get back from break. I am starting my research on diversity training. Part of our DEI initiative is to ensure that our interview teams for starting in the summer keep some diversity, equity, and inclusion training prior to them interviewing new teachers. Our healthcare open enrollment, now that everything is settled, and Bill will be working on the numbers in the next couple weeks. I will have open enrollment May 20th through June 7th for the staff at the school. And I am gearing up for summer hiring. Melinda and I have a couple meetings going on for that. It has been a very busy month in my office between the climate survey and the principal interviews, which I thought went awesome. And I will tell you that I spent a lot of time with Lindsay and Jackson
And they are amazing students. And I was so happy to spend the time with them. They were awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Grauer?
It's allergy season.
Hey, don't I know?
I don't have much else.
Okay.
The Lions Club is coming to do vision screening, Putnam and Thompson Lions are collaborating and they're coming, early May to do the vision screenings for the mandated grades.
Then, now we have Ms. Burns, are you still with us?
Yep. Good evening. Hi. Okay, let's see. In the last 30 days, we resolved 250 tickets. Only 3 of those were from the town, the rest were from the school. We repaired 28 student devices in the month of March. I did get a Pegpedia grant update that it's looking like most districts will receive about $22,000 of funding. The majority of that I will be using to purchase equipment for the auditorium. We're in desperate need of some sound upgrades there. We're in the beginning phases of planning a way for families to update their demographic information online over the summer using PowerSchool. So that should cut back on a lot of paper and data entry, allowing the parents to do it themselves. And upcoming, we are going to be holding a review with an agency called CISA, which is Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Once a year, they like to meet with us to go over our cyber performance goals, just to help identify improvements and make recommendations. Overall, just to help improve our standing with cybersecurity, which also helps with our cyber liability insurance. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks.
Okay, that concludes our administrative reports. Do we have any old business that we failed to mention? Anybody have any old business? No? Okay, any new business that we want to include? No, okay, hearing none. Correspondence. VFW Auxiliary Community Recognition Night is in our packet, number H, yeah, okay. It's been a long day. A letter H. There's a letter from the Veterans of Forum VFW.
And we have many students actually, this year, more than ever before. Our teachers and our students participated in almost every single opportunity that that VFW brought forward to us. And we have quite a host of students and teachers, by the way, that are going to get honored at that night. So
It's April 15th. Tax day, so. Get your taxes done so you can attend. Because it does look like it's it's going to be quite a night, and we're all invited. It's at 7 o'clock. And I did receive some correspondence, which we dealt with. There was a letter from Miss Jennifer Bublitz about PTO matter. I sent it out to all of you. She met with Miss Granado. She met with Superintendent Smith. I responded to her letter, which I copied 2 of you on, and you and Jess on. And we are having a policy meeting, subcommittee meeting on this Thursday night at 6 o'clock to deal with that issue, to codify the policy. Not just a procedure anymore or practice anymore, it will be codified. Okay. So that has been hopefully and will be put to bed. We did not ignore it. Thank you. All right, again, citizens' comments. Well, we don't have any citizens left in the audience, so I will turn to Zoom. Citizens' comments from the Zoom audience? Hearing none, any board members want to chime in with some comments? No, we're all. I will call for no.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.